Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining AML seminar series. Today's speaker, Dr. Sanki Lee, an oceanographer at the Physical Oceanography Division, will be speaking to us about data constraint estimates of decadal changes in the global. Oh, sorry. I think that's.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
don't worry
okay.
about it. It'll change it today, as usual.
Okay, large scale shift in the global MOC emerging from the Southern Ocean. Please type any questions on the chat box. Dr. Lee will respond at the end of his talk. All right, Sanki, you may start your talk.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kandaga. Thank you very much for coming to my seminar. I have 25 people coming in. That's wonderful. I feel like a very important person now, right now. This is going to be like a full 40-minute presentation. I practiced yesterday. It's pretty long. It's kind of intense presentation. Be ready for that. The title of my talk today is a larger scale shift in the global meridional overturning circulation emerging from the Southern Ocean. So it's a little bit of change in the title from the original one. So my name is Sanki Lee, and my collaborators are listed in alphabetic order, in a reverse alphabetic order. And first, I'm going to just talk about the introduction. So why do we need to do this study? Some motivation. And then the main tool that we use here, that's a data constraint ocean and sea ice model. I'll explain it a little bit. And then I will start from the global meridional overturning circulation change. So I'm going to call it GMOC, global meridional overturning circulation GMOC. I'm going to use that for the Southern Ocean first, then Indo-Pacific Ocean, then Atlantic Ocean in that order. Then I'll briefly talk about what is causing those changes during the past decades, and a quick summary and some future work. So why do we need to study this? So as the surface ocean is getting warmed up and the polar ice cap is melting, so surface ocean get warmed up and getting pressure. So due to the increasing anthropogenic greenhouse gases, so that will make the surface ocean very more stratified everywhere, including in the area of the deep water mass formation regions in the high latitude North Atlantic, as well as around Antarctica. And this will reduce the sinking of the surface, dense surface water down into the deep ocean, and therefore lead to a slowdown of the global meridional overturning circulation, GMOC. That's the terminology I'm going to use throughout my presentation. And then one of the important role of the GMOC is to redistribute ocean tracers such as the carbon, nutrient, salinity, those things between the hemisphere and between the different ocean basins. So a slowdown of the GMOC has an important implication for every aspect of the globe of the Earth system, including marine ecosystem, ocean carbon sequestration, climate variability, weather, so on and so forth. So many potential impact of this slowdown. And indeed, actually, according to recent observation, there is some evidence showing that overturning is getting slower. For instance, Perkin Johnson in 2012 showed that there has been a significant contraction of the Antarctic bottom water, which is the densest water in the Southern Ocean volume, has contracted between 1980s to 2000. According to repeated hydrographic data, GOSHIP and World Ocean Circulation Experiment. And then this result is supported by so many independent observational study, starting from early 2000 to now. There are just so many papers are coming out to back up this result. So this appears to be a very robust result. And then, for the North Atlantic, we have this very nice paper, Smith et al. I know that Chris Meinen and Molly Behringer, they were co-author in this paper. So this paper showed that the southward flow of the lower North Atlantic deep water, which is the densest water in the high latitude North Atlantic, that southward transport was decreased by about 30%. during the later period of the rapid MOC array, and compared to its earlier period. So, so that's another evidence. So all this observation evidence suggests that there is a global reduction of the deep and abyssal water formation, and that has already happened in recent decade. And of course, this is in line with the projected changes in the externally forced climate model simulation for the 21st century, SIMI-5 model, SIMI-6 model, all those models showing the same thing. So it looks like the slowdown is already happening in our Earth system. However, there are some issues here that we need to talk about. First of all, these observational studies are based on repeated hydrography data. You know, this Go Ship and World Ocean Circulation Experiment data. They are more or less, you know, measured once per 10 years or so. And then other mooring data, such as rapid MOCA, OSNAPs, or Samba arrays, there are actually the measurement, you know, started only in a recent period. So the data coverage is very short. So it's really hard to distinguish short-term signal, short-term interannual signal from climate scale long-term changes in NMC. And how about the climate model or surface force ocean model, or even ocean reanalysis product? How about that? Okay. But for the climate model and surface force model, we showed in our earlier paper in 2019 that they're not able to reproduce the mean state of the GMOC, especially in the Indo-Pacific Ocean. There is no GMOC in those models, and in the Southern Ocean, it's too weak, and it's kind of pretty okay in the Atlantic. But outside the Atlantic, it's very, very bad. And also this ocean reanalysis product, some of them show a large bias in the spatial temporal patterns. Some of the model, the ocean reanalysis product, the AMOC doesn't look so really realistic. And then the time series of those AMOC disagree between the different products. Oh, there is a spelling mistake there. Yeah. It should be sparsity. So I missed this essay. So, and then also, you know, pre-algal period, the profile data, we don't have a lot of the profile data, so that could create some spurious signal in ocean reanalysis data, especially in the deep ocean. So if you look at this paper by Palmer et al. 2017, they compare many different products. The reanalysis product, heat content changes trends, long-term trend in the deep ocean. They really have a lot of problems. They just that the different product they really don't agree very well. So ocean reanalysis is a great product. We use it all the time, but you know it still has some issue, and it may not be really ideal tool to investigate this long-term interdecadal changes in AMOC. So our approach is a little different. Instead of assimilating all this individual data from many different platforms, instead what it did was that we just used a very long-term average ocean climatology, World Ocean Atlas, and that was like collected for during the last 70 years, 100 years. And so we have long-term temperature salinity, and we use those data to constrain an ocean and sea ice model. So the main objective here is to reconstruct and explain the GMOC and its changes since 1950. So our approach is slightly different from other ocean reanalysis products. So we are targeting only the interdecadal long-term changes. So that's the thing. So we basically carried out the series of surface ocean model simulation. In the model run, the model temperature at every time steps are strongly relaxed toward the World Ocean Atlas 2018 climatology, temperature salinity, for each decade. For instance, in one run, we used the World Ocean Atlas climatology starting for the 1955 to 1964. One simulation. Next simulation, the model was relaxed toward the period of 1965 to 74, like that, and then 75 to 84, like up to 2004 or 17. So we have the several different periods of simulation that we're going to show the result and compare the result. So we use the ocean model component is the ocean and sea ice model components, the NCARS Community Earth System Model version 1. And the surface forcing, we use ECMWF reanalysis 5. And for the temperature salinity relaxation, we use a very strong relaxation with the evolving time of the 30 days for the upper 200 meter and the 5 years below 200 meter. And then, of course, this is a follow-up paper of Li et al., which was published in GRE 2019. And there, in that paper, we just look at the just long-term mean, just a mean state. Now, in this study, we want to look at the change, the interdecadal change. Okay, so before I show you the result, I think I need to spend some time with this plot because I'm going to mention so many different water maps abbreviations like UNDW, like that's upper low Atlantic deep water, and there's so many the abbreviations that I'm going to use it. So if you're already familiar with, you already know. If you're not, don't worry about it. But let me just explain what they are. So this is just a schematic plot of the global meridian overturning circulation. So so this is a latitude here. So this is Antarctica. So I'm just showing you the Southern Ocean in a symmetrical way. So 80 degree to 30 degree, 80 degree to 30 degree. So it's just a symmetrical representation of Southern Ocean. And this is the Indo-Pacific Ocean, MOC, and this is Atlantic Ocean, MOC. So this is the latitude here, and then vertical coordinate is the density. So it's a loop. It's like a Möbius loop. It's not a separate two cell of upper cell or lower cell. They're all interconnected. You start from one point, you will touch all the different points, and you can come back to the original point. So it's a loop. So I can start from anywhere, but let me just start from the Atlantic Ocean here. So let's start from the surface ocean. So surface ocean, so there's warm water coming from Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, and Pacific Ocean. They enter into the South Atlantic Ocean, that carried to the North Atlantic, and then to the deep water formation. You have this upper North Atlantic deep water is formed. That's heavier water is formed, and that is usually happen in the Labrador Sea and the Arminger Sea, and then slightly northward in the Jin Sea. So that's called Greenland, Iceland, and Norwegian Sea. That's where slightly denser water is formed there, and that is sink down there, and then carried back southward, and that is a lower North Atlantic deep water. So that's a slightly denser than the upper North Atlantic deep water going to the south. And then let's see, let's just go to Indo-Pacific Ocean. Oh yeah. Oh, I missed the Antarctic intermediate water. So Antarctic intermediate water is there. That is usually formed in the Southern Ocean and the South Pacific, and that is sinking from the surface, subducted into the meltwater, and subsurface water is formed. So that's Antarctic intermediate water is also carried northward. And let's go back to Indo-Pacific Ocean. There, this is Antarctic bottom water, which is really heavy water that is formed near the Antarctica, is carried into the Indo-Pacific Ocean at the bottom, and through the diffusion process, that becomes slightly warmer, getting warmer, and then we call it Indian Ocean deep water or Pacific Ocean deep water, and that is carried back into the Southern Ocean, and that support this water mass called the upper circumpolar deep water. And then also Antarctic intermediate water is also carried into the Indo-Pacific Ocean, and that is carried to the surface through the equatorial veiling, and then some of them, warm water is transported back to the Southern Ocean, or first through the Indonesian trough flow, and then to the Atlantic Ocean through the Atlantic. Claudia, could you turn off your mic? I think we can hear you. Okay, and then so that's that. And then in the Southern Ocean, so this upper circumpolar water, I'm sorry, the North Atlantic, upper North Atlantic deep water, and also Indian Ocean deep water and Pacific Ocean deep water provide a source for this upper circumpolar deep water. And that is the source of this upper cell in the Southern Ocean. In the lower cell, we have a lower circumpolar deep water. And the main source of this water is mainly coming from the lower North Atlantic deep water from the Atlantic, and then feeding it there. And it's creating this loop here. It's brought up, so upper and lower circumpolar deep water is brought up to the surface, and through the Ekman, through the Southern Hemisphere westerlies and Ekman pumping, and they are subducted here below the mold water and form Antarctic intermediate water, and here, and then it is driven by actual sinking near the Antarctic ice shelf, especially near the Ross Sea and Weddell Sea, and other areas of the deep water formation that actually drives this lower cell like that. So you have this very warm, very cold, dense Antarctic bottom water is formed. So so you have this upper cell, you have lower cell. So this red is kind of an upper cell. So this blue is like a lower cell, but they're all interconnected. It's really difficult to separate them. So there you go. That's GMOC 101. You just passed it. All right, go to the next slide. So let's just talk about the result. Let me just go ahead with the Southern Ocean first, and then to the Indo-Pacific Ocean, all in the same slide. So here, so this is as a function of density. So GMOC as a function of density. So density in reference to 2,000 meters. And then, so this is the latitude from 80 degrees south all the way to 80 degrees north. So from here to 35 degrees south, this is Southern Ocean only. And then north of it, this is Indo-Pacific Ocean, or generally integrated. So there is definitely discontinuity there, right there. And these contour lines are basically total stream function for this period, 2005, 2017, and the colors are the difference, anomaly, between this period compared to the reference period, that is 1955 to 1974. So that is the reference period that I use. So, so these colors are the differences. So, and then also I'm showing you this two latitude, 65 degrees south. So I'm showing you the stream function as a function of density at this line, which is at the center of this lower cell. And also here, I'm showing you the stream function as a function of density at the location of the upper center of the upper cell here. So that's what you see. And this is stream function like that. So, oops. So basically you see that the lower overturning cell. Okay, so this green line, it is the reference period, and the black line is for this modern period. So, and then the transport itself is actually this is not a transport. This is not like going south or it's a transport. This is the stream function. So the gradient of stream function is the transport. So basically, you have northward transport here, southward transport here, more or less like 20 spur drop, 18 spur drop, like that in total. But now what I'm plotting here the number of the changes between this modern period compared to the reference period. So here, if you see a blue color here, that means a reduction. And then if you see red color, that means increase. So basically, you see the Antarctic bottom water outflow, which is northward here, that is reduced by about 3 sperdra. That's a lot because, you know, what is total transport? 18 or so. So that's like, you know, 20% or 15% increase, decrease here. And that is completely compensated by the reduced forward transport of the lower circumpolar water here. And let's move to the 43 degrees south. That's at the center of this upper cell. So, so green line is the reference period, and the black is for this period. So you see that the upper circumpolar water, so that's this part here, right here, that has increased by 3.5 sperdra. That's a lot because the mean transport here is like only 10 sperdra, and that is compensated by the northward transport increase by the surface intermediate depth water right here in this latitude. And of course, you see the reduction of the Antarctic bottom water transport and lower circumpolar water transport like that. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this plot in the next slide. Okay, so this is 43 degrees south. So just want to talk a little bit more about what's happening here. So basically, this is the center of the upper overturning cell at 43 degrees south. And then you see that when stream, so this is a point where stream function becomes 0. This is the boundary between the upper circumpolar water and lower circumpolar water. And you can see that it used to be right here in the reference period, but in recent period, it shifted further down. So what it means is that the upper circumpolar water has expanded downward into the deeper ocean, and then the lower circumpolar water has contracted downward. So it's not just increase or decrease in the magnitude, but also the expansion and the contraction. That's very important. So I just wanted to make that clear. Number 2, so let's talk about what happened in the Pacific Ocean. So this is like a 30 degrees south here, but it's just for the Indo-Pacific Ocean. So we are away from the Southern Ocean now. So basically, so what you see here, this change is basically kind of like in response to these major changes in the Southern Ocean. The Pacific MOC is like adjusting to it. So if you look at this patterns here, you see that this red thing is kind of intruding toward the Pacific, right? And then that's what is shown right here. So basically, for instance, this northward flow of the Antarctic bottom water into the Indo-Pacific Ocean is reduced by almost 1 sperdra, which is again a lot. It's like a 10% because the mean is like a 10 sperdra there. And also the southward export. This is southward export of the deep water, which is an important source of the upper circumpolar deep water, is increased by 0.5 sperdra. So it kind of matched pretty well with what happened in the Southern Ocean. Okay, let's take a look at what happened in the previous period, 95 to 2004. Just need to apologize here. This should be 95 2004. This is misspelling. Sorry about that. So it's the same format as the previous slide, but so that you see something very similar, but the change here is weaker. It used to be reduction of the 3.3 sperdra. Now it's 1.4 sperdra. It's like that. But the increase in the upper circumpolar water cell, there used to be 3.5, now it's 3.8. It's an even increase. You can see that from this control line. This red thing is even more intense here, but not so much here. And then you still see this northward intrusion of the Antarctic bottom water into the Indo-Pacific Ocean is again reduced, but it was not as large as 0.9, but it's a 0.6 in the previous slide. So you see that this intrusion is slightly less, compared to earlier period. In this case, it came all the way. Okay, let's go to even earlier periods, at 85 to 1994. You see that you barely see any influence from the Southern Ocean in the Indo-Pacific, right? You don't see much of influence here, as you can see here, especially in the bottom part. It is actually even increased. And here you still see some reduction, but this part, the upper portion, was also increased, even in this period. And then let's go back to 75 to 84. And there you see that this increasing of the upper circumpolar, upper overturning cell is starting to intensify. This is just the beginning of all this intensification like that. So it's happening there. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the Pacific. So this is summary of what we just talked about for the Southern Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. So we see there is a robust strengthening and the forward and downward expansion of the upper overturning cell in the Southern Ocean, and that is accompanied by the weakening and contracting, so shrinking lower overturning cell in the Southern Ocean, and that seems to started in the mid 1970s, and that is of course consistent with the decreases in the volume of the Antarctic bottom water that was observed throughout the Southern Ocean by Perkin and Johnson and other studies. And this, we think that this is a response. So what happened in the Pacific is in response to this change in the Southern Ocean. Pacific MOC, the Indo-Pacific MOC is responding to it. So it's slowly adjusting to it since mid-90s. So that was it. That was it for the Southern Ocean and Indo-Pacific Ocean. And then, so next one is the Atlantic Ocean. So Atlantic Ocean, a lot of people in the Rasmus and then AOML are working on it. So I found it really interesting here. So here's the result. So it's the same plot, but for the so here, this part is Southern Ocean. It's the same plot, but for the north of 35, now I'm showing only the Atlantic portion, Atlantic MOC, as a function of latitude and density for this period, 2005, 2017. And you see the big signal is the blob of this the cold, I mean not cold, I'm sorry, this negative stream function anomaly centered over here. So we'll get into that. This is a very important signal. So let's see. So and another thing is this is a 30 degrees south MOC right here. This is a 26.5 MOC right here, and this is a 55 degree north MOC right here, and that is at the center of the maximum MOC in the North Atlantic Ocean. So basically, you see that this is the lower North Atlantic deep water southward flow is reduced by one spur by 30 degrees south and 0.8 spur at this latitude. So you see a pretty strong signal of the reduced lower North Atlantic deep water southward transport. At the same time, what is interesting is that the southward transport of the upper North Atlantic deep water is slightly increased. And this is interesting because it's not much about the maximum transport changing. You got to look at it right there. That's not the big signal here. The big signal is the change in the vertical structure, especially in the southward return flow. And that is the main thing that we see here. Basically this blob here. And that I'm going to talk about more in the next slide in more detail. And then of course in response, there has to be decreased in the intermediate depth water transport there. But interesting thing is what happened in the 55 degree north, there's no match. We don't see any decrease at 55 degree north. So this is kind of puzzling because we tend to think that MOC changes this interior ocean in the South Atlantic and North Atlantic Ocean, all driven by the convection over here in the Labrador Sea and all that. But I don't, I don't see any reduction signal. It actually increased a little bit. So that's kind of puzzling, and that's very important. And we'll get back to that in a later slide. So let's take a look at this one more carefully. What happened? What is this? What is this showing? So basically, it's just the expanded plot of that part, 30 degrees south to 30 degrees north. So important thing to remember is that the volume transport, MOC, is a vertical gradient of the stream function. So stream function is an integrated transport. So stream function is not equals to a transport. So we have to remember that. And then so here, for instance, so you see that this anomaly is really focused on this return flow of the southward return flow. So the mean flow is southward here, and the upper part mean flow is a northward transport, right? And then the anomaly is really here over the southward return flow. So it has very little impact for this part. So what happened is that you remember that the gradient, the vertical gradient, is the transport. So in this configuration, this means this upper North Atlantic deep water anomaly goes southward. So mean flow is the southward, anomaly southward is intensified. For the lower North Atlantic deep water, mean flow is the southward, but anomaly is going northward. So that means it's reduced, and that's the signal that you see here. So I just want to just explain a little better about what you are seeing here. So it's not just a reduction of the MOC, it's basically structure change, vertical structure change in MOC. Okay. So now let's take a look at what happened earlier, 95 to 2004. Here, you don't see much of a change in the interior of South Atlantic and North Atlantic, but you do see a big shift at 55 degree north, and that's like a huge change, increase of a 2.1 further up. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's more than, that's like a 10% increase. And then, but you don't see anything in the interior ocean. And then let's go to the earlier period, 85 to 94. In this case, not much change in the interior ocean, but at 55 degree north, MOC decreased a lot by about one further. So seems like there is some sort of a big fluctuation, big interdecadal fluctuation between different decades here. And then let's look at what happened in 75, 84. Nothing much, changes very little. By the way, again, I'm sorry for this label here. This should be 75, 84. This is wrong. Okay, so that's what we see. And then, so what I did was that I just made a bar plot of the MOC maximum. This guy is just maximum MOC. Maximum MOC at each latitude here, like that. So red is for 55, blue is for 26.5, and the green for the 30 degrees south. So I just made a time plot. So this is for the center over the 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010. So I have it. So first thing you notice is that there is no clear linear trend in this case. So compared to what happened in the Southern Ocean and the Indo-Pacific, there is no trend. And then this maximum MOC, I'm talking about maximum MOC, not the vertical structure. Maximum MOC at the 3 latitude are largely characterized by the interdecadal variability. Not so much trend, but strong interdecadal variability. So what is driving this interdecadal variability of AMOC? That's I'm going to show in the next slide. So we know from the modeling study, ocean modeling study, that North Atlantic Oscillation, NAO, is the main driver of the AMOC variability into annual to decadal timescale. So there are so many modeling, very nice modeling studies out there to illustrate these processes. So what I'm showing you here is this bottom set is same as earlier plot, but this one is for the winter NAO index from this observation, of course. And this is this is I think a 7-year running or 5-year running in plot of the NAO. And then, however, so this relationship is well recognized, but it takes about, depending on the model, it takes about 3 to 50 years for this NAO, AMO, MOC to respond to the changes in the MOC and the NAO signal. So for instance, let's take a look at what happened here. So we had a big positive NAO decade of the NAO from 85 to 94. So that after, let's say 10 years later, you have large signal in MOC. So MOC increase here. And if you look into other period, it's more or less it's representing the delay signal of the NAO. You see that right here, like that. And then this is, of course, supported by this YESAF in 2007 paper showing that there was a very intense formation, very deep and densest Labrador seawater was formed between 1987 and 1994. That was a very, very intense one that has filled the entire domain of the Labrador Sea, and that is due to this positive phase of the NAO. And so it kind of explains pretty well. It matches very well with the previous observation. So there is some delay. So this convection, this water has to come out from the Labrador Sea, propagate it, adjust it. Takes several years or more to produce this MOC signal. So looks like this is just the NAO. And then I kind of went over and did something crazy, but forget about this. Don't pay attention to this one. Don't worry about the first one. But basically, I just want to argue, I just want to point out that this does not necessarily mean that NAO is everything. There is a Greenland ice shelf is melting a lot. And also there's potentially, the Arctic freshwater can be intrusion could happen. This because of the melting of the land ice and the sea ice, the freshwater has been accumulating over the Gyre, so that could come into the Atlantic Ocean through the Brant Strait or Davy Strait and affect all this convection process through the surface salinity. So those things are potentially there, but we don't see that as a major factor from what we see here. So that's a main point. But that doesn't necessarily mean that these are not there. And let me just go a little further. So NAO has increased. So maybe 10 years from now, the MOC may increase. If it doesn't increase, maybe there's something else will happen. So we'll have to watch what happen in the MOC 10 years from now, and we will learn more about the impact of this freshwater flux, NAO, and so on and so forth. So very interesting results here. Okay, so let's move on. So it's the summary of what happened in the. I'm almost there. 5 more minutes. Yeah. So this is summary of the Atlantic side. So, okay. I'm sorry. There's one more thing. Very important thing. Oh man, I'm talking too long. So there's a very important question. Now, you see this signal in recent periods, but you don't see it any other period. And this is disconnected from what happened in here. So, what caused this? It is definitely not NAO. So it is what caused this. So, but again, it's a structure. It's a vertical structure, the MOC. That's important, not the maximum thing. So, what caused it? That's one last question that we want to explore. And here is one hypothesis. Here is what I think. it's a hypothesis, of course. You see that at 30 degrees south, you see this one, this low, I'm sorry, this bottom, the lower North Atlantic deep water is a source of the lower circumpolar deep water. So this is reduction, and with this reduction matches pretty well. And also this upper circumpolar deep water increase, and then also the upper North Atlantic deep water is a source of this. So that increase, it matches pretty well. So I think that there is some sort of a Southern Ocean driven MOC readjustment is happening. It's hypothesis, of course. Okay, so here's the summary. Let me just go quickly. We already talked about this. It's all about NAO, but what happened in a recent period, we cannot use, NAO cannot explain it. So it seems to be kind of adjustment coming from the Southern Ocean. So what caused all this thing in the Southern Ocean? That's the kind of last question that we need to address it. First of all, it is due to the increase in the westerly wind. And then, oh, I think I can just skip this. This is modeling part. And so it's the increase in the westerly, and that is what is driving the more availing of circumpolar deep water, and the upper cell increases. So that explains it. And then you see that that's happened throughout this whole period, not just a recent period, starting from 1970. And we know that this is driven by the ocean depletion and increasing CO2. This is increase in the southern hemisphere westerly. But this does not really explain why the lower cell is lower overturning cell is decreasing, because according to idealized climate model simulation, increasing southern hemisphere westerly should increase both cell, upper cell and the lower cell, but it is not happening. So if you think about what is driving the lower cell, it is not wind, it is a convection. So basically, what I show you here, colors are density, upper ocean density 200 meter, and the contour lines are the salinities. So you see that there is over the Ross Sea here, you see that the surface freshening and reduction of density around Ross Sea. That suggests there is an enhanced Antarctic meltwater discharge into the Ross Sea. And according to observational study, this is not discharges directly from Ross Sea. The melting has during the past many years, during the satellite period, the melting has been, ice melting has been mainly here in the Bering Sea and Amazon Sea. So this through the coastal current that is carrying the coastal current, there's a coastal current in the Antarctica, and that carries this fresh water into the Ross Sea, and that it prevents this sinking of the dense water here. That's the whole idea. So I'm almost there. Yeah, so that seems to be like it's happening all throughout the, since the 1975, and then I did some sensitivity experiment to support this, whether this result is robust. So I did other experiments to confirm that this is a robust signal. So let me just go right ahead. Sorry about all these things. Let me slide. And then here you go. This is the result. This is summary. So yeah, so this is the MOC. This is Atlantic Ocean, Indo-Pacific Ocean, Southern Ocean. This is the past. This is the new. So red means strengthen, and then the blue means weaken. So that's it. And then I can stop here, and yeah, I can talk about some. Oh, and then this work was supported by CPO and the Ocean Application Program Office, OAP, and by AOML. And then I can just stop here. Yeah, thank you.